this computer, and I'm going to share my screen um, so we can talk about percents. All right, here we go. All right, move this out of the way, and there's got to be a way I can do this to be just about okay. All right, so talking about percents, and what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to unplug something here. Yeah, just a second. Let me plug in my pen. Talking about percents, the one thing about this is it's pretty practical, okay? Because percents are things that we deal with in everyday life all the time. Like whether you're talking about a sale, something's 20% off, 30% off something. Um, you know, Oftentimes you'll have to deal with some kind of a percentage. So what I'm going to do right now is on the screen here, I want to kind of highlight the things that I think you ought to um, write down on your paper. Okay. You don't have to copy all the words that I have on the screen here, but you should copy this is called a percent circle. You should copy down the circle. Okay. You want to copy this down in your paper. You want to copy basically everything that's in the circle, just the way it is with the line across the middle of it. You want to copy that down. So you have that. Um, and So you got P, which stands for the part. P stands for part, so copy that part down. W stands for a whole. Okay. Of course, you got the multiplication sign. You know what that is? It's times. The percent symbols stands for percent, and then the division line means divided by. Okay. So everything that I kind of highlighted there in red, I'll circle these things here too. Anything that I put in red, that's probably what you want to copy down so that you have the basic concept here. And I'm going to move my microphone a little closer um, so that it's clearer for you to hear me. And so I'm just kind of waiting for you guys to finish copying down a few more words and phrases there, and we'll jump into this. Um, okay. All right. So the percent circle it's kind of this is like a tool, okay? It's like a screwdriver or a wrench or a knife that you're using to carve out percent problems, how to figure them out. And so if you use the percent tool, it's one way of three ways I'm going to show you tonight to figure out percents in a percent story problem, okay, for instance. And there are a number of high schools and community colleges that teach this particular method that we're looking at here on the screen here. And I'll show you what it actually means. So the first thing I'm going to do, you can see again on this next slide, I've got the same circle and the P stands for the part. Okay, you're trying to find a part of something. The W we already wrote down stands for the whole. Okay, and of course the percent stands for the percent. Okay. Um, so if in my example here, and you don't have to copy these, by the way, these are just examples I want you to look at. So just relax and try to follow along with me. Identify the P, which would be the part, percent, and whole in the statement below. 30% of 120 is 36. Okay. All right. So the percent, okay, the percent in the thing is right here. Okay. It gives 30% of 120. 120 is the whole. Okay. That's the whole here. Okay. And 36 is the part. Okay. So that's the part. So uh, Those are the pieces. Let's look at my next example. Identify the part, percent, and whole in the statement below. 40 is 50% of 80. Okay. 40 is the part. Okay. That's my part here. We're given a percent. There's my percent, and 80 happens to be, in this case, the whole. Okay. So we're just kind of familiarizing you. Again, don't worry about copying this page, but just getting used to what it means when it says the part. This is a circle here, the part, and you put the percent and then the whole there to figure out how to calculate percentages. Okay. All right. Let's just look at an example here. And again, don't worry about copying this. I just want you to hear me through. And you may ask questions. If you have questions, by all means, take your microphone or chat and ask me. Now, this is how they train people to use this method of the percent circle. Cover the symbol of the number you're trying to find, okay? And that's the key, okay? That's the one you're going to cover, okay? You're going to cover it up with your, do the math indicated by the symbols that remain uncovered, okay? So in this particular example, if 15% of your $1,500 monthly paycheck is used for your boat payment, how much is your boat payment? Okay. So cover the P, or the part. So looking over here at my diagram here, okay, they gave the percent, okay. If I draw a line here, they gave the percent, okay. And the whole is this amount right here. That's the whole. They gave you this, okay. Drawing the arrow towards it, okay. You're trying to find the part, okay. How much is the payment? So this is the part here, and this illustration I have here is, it's covered up. So we gotta do the math in what's remaining down here to figure out what the part is. So in our percent circle, we have the percent times the whole. Well, if you look at the bottom of my screen here where my red dot is, 15% is 0.15 times the whole equals $225. So this is the answer. That's the part, okay, that we were looking for. So basically, if you kind of think through the way this percent circle works, is if you're trying to find out the part, okay, what you're going to have to do is multiply the percent times the whole, and that'll give you the part. Okay. Now, let's say that they gave you a part and the whole, and they want to know what percent that is. Okay. Do you see how, if you covered up, like, see how I'm covering up the percent sign? We're trying to figure out the percent. You've got the part, and this line here that I'm now drawing in, this means to divide. Okay, that's like your division line. Okay, it means to divide. So if I cover up the percent, if I divide the part by the whole, that's how you figure out a percent of something is. Okay, so if they ask you, like, for instance, what is 20%, or 20 is what percent of 50? Okay, they wanted to know what percent is 20 of 50. I would divide 20 by 50, and that would give me a decimal, which I would then change to a percent. That's how you figure out what percent a number like 20 is of something else. So in this case, if I do what's left, which means I divide the part by the whole, I get the percent. All right, let's look at another example. Okay. Um, if $600 of your 1,500 monthly paycheck is used for a house payment, what percent, this is what they want to know now, this is what's missing, is your house payment. So they gave you the part, this is, I'll put a P above it, they gave you the part. If 600 of your, here's the whole, here's the W, is used for the house payment, what's the percent? So we're going to go back to our percent wheel. We're going to cover up the percent, and we're going to divide the part by the whole, and that will give us the percent again. So You got 600. The P over here, I'm circling it now on the screen here. We're trying to find the percent. The P divided by the W, the part by the whole, is 600 divided by 1500, gives you 0.40, which is 40%. Okay. So that's the tool called the percent wheel. Okay. Let's look at another one. What if you buy a new cell phone and you make a 15%, here's the percent down payment of $45, okay? What is the price of the phone, okay? So if I wrote right on the problem, this is the percent, this is the part it's part of, they want to know the price of the whole phone. There's the whole. So they want to know the whole. So I've got the percent here. They've given me the percent, okay? They gave me the part, that's this here. If I just draw an arrow to it, they gave me this, and they gave me this. So I'm gonna cover up the W with my finger and look at what I have left. I gotta take my percent and divide it into, because remember I said this little line here means division, okay? Divide the percent into the whole. So in this case, I'll go over here and circle it. This is the whole equals the percent, the part divided by the whole, the percent, excuse me, the part divided by the percent, which is $45 divided by 0.15, which is 300. So my whole is 300. It's a $300 phone. Okay. Price of the whole phone. All right. How is that going for you so far? Let me just do this. I'm going to pause. All right. Let's move on to the next slide. All right. So find the part, percent, and whole of a missing value. Okay. So this is just like more practice. So I'm going to kind of go this like review again. 63 is 10% of what? So here's your percent, 10. 63 is the part, and the whole is 630. Okay, just practicing some more. 15 is 25% of, so the part is 15. We've got a percent, which is 25, and the whole is 60. 20 is 5% of, 20 is the part, 5 is the percent, 400. You guys get it? I think I'll do the last one. 87.5 is 35% of 250. Here's my part, here's my percent, and here's my whole. Okay? All right. I think I've kind of hammered that quite a bit. I'm going to move on, okay, a little bit here. Now let's see here. Circle the P for what represents the unknown value in each problem and find the missing value. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of illustrate it for you again. So what is 30% of 90? So if I kind of, what is 30% of 90? Okay. So if I got my wheel here, okay, they want to know this, and this is the whole is 90, okay, and they want to know 30%, which is 0.30. They're trying to find this part here, okay. So if I multiply 0.30 times 90, well, how's that? I got kind of loud there when I got close to my microphone. I should know this in my head, but 0.30 times 90 is 27. Okay. So that's how I would kind of do that, 27. Okay. And that's using this method of the percent circle. Okay. All right. For the sake of time, I'm going to move on because I want to get to the next idea here. So I want it to be clear here. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Sorry, guys. Okay. I think we're okay with that. Come on. Okay. Yeah, let's just move on. I think I hit that enough. All right, this is method number 2, okay? So I'm gonna put a number 2 here for figuring out percents. A lot of people like the percent wheel. I'm gonna be honest with you. This next method, the one we're looking at right here, is kind of my favorite. And so what I'm gonna do is pause my recording. What I want to say again is that this is my favorite of the 3 methods for figuring out percents, and the reason why is because you're taking the words right out of the story problem and they actually mean something. You're putting them into like a very brief algebraic equation. Okay. Um, so we've got words here. The word of in mathematics next to other like a question of something means times. Okay. It means multiplication. Um, so when you see that word of, you just think of it as times. You know, if I say 30% of 50, that's 0.30 of times 50. Okay. The word is, okay, here is means something completely different. Is means equals. Okay. Um, you know, if I say 79 is 15% of something of what? That means 79 equals 15%. Okay. So is equals. And then you have the word what means is usually is we're going to make that what or you can add this or how sometimes they'll say what or how much they'll use that those phrases, but what is, but so that means that's the unknown is written as the N, okay, or the own, or you could put it like this as the X, you know, it's all for X, how we started doing last week when we were doing basic algebra, okay, we were solving for the what they call the variable N or X or A or B, whatever it is, okay, so so we can take those words now and plug it into a very basic algebraic equation that we learned how to do last week. And this is why this is my favorite method, is because it's a great introduction to algebra. We're using basic algebra to solve this. And also the second reason why I like it personally is because the words are right there in the sentence. And so it's a little bit clearer for me to just think in that terms. Maybe it's because I'm an English teacher. I don't know. But there are many others that just like the percent circle. That just makes sense to them. But all right, so 6% of 65,000 is what number? Okay, so here's what I would do here. I've got 6%, which you guys know that 6% as a decimal is 0.06. Of means times, so there's my times. And then we've got 65,000. 1, 2, 3 is means equals what, which is the what number. Okay, we're solving for n here. Okay, and here's what we would do at this point. I'm going to just take my calculator and I'm going to go 0.06 times 65,000 is 3,900. Okay, so I did the math over here. 3,900 equals n. So we're done. We just solved for n, okay? Um, so 3,900 is 6% of 65,000, okay? Let's do it again. Let's look at this next example. So if this is example 1 here, this will be example 2 here. What percent of 8 is 12? So is, or Mr. is 2, is the equal sign. What percent, so they want to know this percent here. So I'm going to put P, call it P, of means times, P times 8 equals 2. You see, I chose P because of this percent here. Okay, it's the word P there. They want you to know what percent of 8 is 2. Do you see all those words there? Of is times. Okay, here's my times word. Is equal. They want to know what the percent is. We learned last week in this class that when you have something times something, it's like 8p, okay? If I divide this side by, it's called the multiplication rule of equality. But where we actually dividing it, if I divide this side by 8, then I got to divide this side by 8. So what that does, by dividing it by 8, that cancels out the 8. So I get P equals, that's 2 over 8, which is 1/4. Okay. Okay. Now it's asking for a percent. Um, I can convert 1/4 into a percent by dividing 1 into, or 4 into 1, but you guys also probably know that that's 25%. A fourth of something is 25%. Okay. Um, so that's just taking the words and putting them into the algebraic equation using the word of, is, and what. And I will say again, sometimes instead of what, they'll say how many, or they'll use a different word here, but it's a question mark. Um, it's a question like what or how. Okay. So let's do a couple more. 16% of what? So that's 0.16 times x times, we'll just say, we'll make this, I don't know, I'm trying to think of what? X, Y, W. That's going to look kind of confusing. Let's go like this. 0.16 times, we'll call this W, equals, see, is my equal sign, okay, 127,000. Okay. All right. 0.16 times W equals 127. Now, just to point out to you, just so you get familiar with this, most algebra students would go 0.16 times W. They would just go like this. They'd go 0.16 W equals 1270. That's how most, you'll start doing that in algebra, okay? Because that's the same thing as time. When they're right side by side like that, that means times. Then, just to change colors, just to make it clear, you're going to divide this side by 16, 0.16, sorry, not by 16, by 0.16. Going to divide this side by 0.16, okay? And that, what that does is it cancels out the 0.16s, okay? This is now canceled out. So you got W equals, and then you would just calculate the answer, okay? You would divide 0.16 into 127,000. Okay, so we're having a little bit of fun with algebra, but we're also doing percents. Okay, let's look at this next example. Let me choose a nice bright color here. Red. What percent of 196 is 49? What percent? They want to know the P. P times, okay, so I'm going to write times here. 196 is equals 49. Okay, which means another way to write this would be 196 P equals 49. And from there, I can just go, okay, divide this side by 196, divide this side by 196, and I got my answer. It's because this now cancels out, and I have P equals whatever that would be, okay? Now, I want to say one more time, however, that you see this little division problem here. I'm just going to model this for you, okay? I'll do it real fast on my calculator. Clear. So you got 49 divided by 196 equals 0.25, okay? That's what you're going to get in your calculator that you now get to use, okay? And that as a percent is 25%, which is what they're asking you for, okay? All right, let's do this. We're doing great for time. Why don't you guys all try number 2 on your own? Just copy it down on your paper and your notes and try it on your own. In fact, try 2 and 3. Okay, I think I'm going to talk about these. So 28% of, so that's 0.28 times n. So I'm just going to say, call it a W of what equals 63. So I'm going to divide both sides by 0.28. Don't forget that it's 0.28. And I'm going to get W equals, real quick, 63 divided by 0.28 equals 225. And we're not asked for a percent. We're asked for the whole number. And by the way, 63, if you were thinking back about the percent, well, here's the part, here's the percent here, and this is my whole here. Okay. Then I'm trying to find out. Okay. What is 24% of 250? They want to know what. This is the N equals 24, which is 0.24 times 250. Okay. And then you could just go from there and just do the math. So, all right, 0.24 times 250 equals 60. N equals 60. Okay. All right. I think hopefully you guys got the idea here. How about if I use a few more, but not finish the whole problem? What percent of something is equals 36, 60, what percent? So we want to know this P, okay? 60P, okay, times 60, okay? 42%, so 0.42 of N, we'll call it N, is 150. This just comes together for me just kind of quickly. It's just easier to see that. What is my N? Remember that word what? Is 0.12 times 17.5, okay? And we just do the math. All right, math can be fun. All right. Now, this method is the third method. I'm not going to spend much time on this one at all. It's kind of my least favorite because I get a little confused, but some people, depending on kind of math that you've used, for some people, this is a way to do it, okay? And it really turns out to be, when you actually carry it out, real similar to what we just learned in the algebra method. But this is it right here. It's this little box right here is the method. Okay, I'll put a box around it so it's clear. The part over the base equals the rate or percent over 100%. Okay, and that's the method. Now, some people like this method, so I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So 12 is 75% of what number? So here's how you would write this one out. You would go 12 is, it's 75% of what? We're trying to find this W here, okay, of what number, okay, is 75% over 100, okay? So that is the rate, the percent they gave you over 100, okay? They gave you 75%. So what you would end up doing is, if you're going to cross multiply, okay, so 12 times 100 is 1200 equals 75W, and then I cross multiplied here, W times 75, cross multiply these, and then you divide by 75 to get rid of that 75, do that. So you can see that in a sense, I ended up doing, if I choose another color here, I ended up doing the same thing that I did in the last method. This really is the same thing here. It's I set up an algebra problem like this, okay? But this is the third method, okay, for finding percents. And you can pick the one that works best for your brain if you're on a quiz or something, but some of your homework might ask you to use the various methods. So I wanted to share them all with you. And so let's take a look at, now this is, how do I transition into saying this? There are especially two types of percent questions where it's kind of this, you do the same thing every time. All right. And so it's good to know finding a percent of a number. So I'm going to give you a minute to 30 seconds to just copy down the words here. That when you're trying to find a percent of a number, they're just kind of given it in a brief sentence, find 20% of 90 or something. This is the method to figure that out, okay? And the rule is to change the percent to a decimal and then multiply. That's the rule. And you're going to use this in this course. I think especially maybe you'll start using it next week. And then if you move up to TS76, Math 76, you'll definitely be using this again a bunch as we get into ratios, percents and ratios, and percent change, which I'll mention also at the end tonight. All right. So again, the rule: change the percentage. If they say find 30% of 90. Okay. Well, I just want to point out to you again the magic of our sentence. Of means times, right? So it's really saying find the answer of 0.30 times 90. Okay. And so visually, I write it out like this for some people. It's just 90 times 0.30. And that will give you the answer. Okay. What do we say that was? 270? No, 27. 30% of 90, 27. So that's this method of if they just ask you for a certain percent of something, okay? And here's a couple of examples put in a word problem. So don't worry about copying all this down. Just follow along with me so it starts sinking in. Robert used to weigh 160 pounds. He went on a diet and lost 7.5% of, by the way, I'm going to choose another color here to illustrate this, of, there it is again, his weight, okay? How many pounds did he lose? Okay, so they want to know how much he lost, not how much he weighs now. I want you to pay close attention to that, by the way. They want to know how much he lost, okay? Well, this is his amount that he weighs, okay, originally. And they want to know if I take 7.5% of that, that would be 0.0, just so you know, 7.5. I moved the decimal point 2 places, okay, from where it was, 2 places to the left. I would do the multiplication, and that would tell you how much he lost. That would tell you what 7.5% of his weight. Now, his weight right here is right here. I'm going to put a box around him so you can see this. So it's right here. That's his weight, okay? So it's 0.7 or 7.5% of. All right, let's look at another example here. During a period of 45 days, Henry was late 60% of the time, okay? All right, and again, I'm thinking, how many days was he late, okay? I'm just looking at the words again in my story problem. 60% of, which is times, my time, which is right here. There's my time, okay? That's my time, okay? So if I plug that into my equation, it would look like this: 45 days times 0.60. Okay, and then let me make sure I got my problem right. How many days was he late? Okay, so it's asking for late. Yeah, it's asking for lateness, and that's what I'm counting. 60% of the time he's late. So that would give me my answer. Okay. And again, I just want to point out, we're seeing those words of in the story problem. Of means times. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's take a look at another one. A local school has 550 students. If 12% of them, see, of, and them, the them here is this. This is the them. Okay. 500 are out with the flu. How many students were absent? So yeah, I'm reading it very carefully because Sometimes you'll get a trick question like that. So it's that times 0.12. Okay, that's how I would do it in my calculator. All right. Beware though when you're reading the end of the question, because sometimes it'll read like this. It'll say a local school has 550 students. If 12% of them are out with the flu, how many of them? And instead of saying absent, it will say attended school or went to school. So be careful to read what they're asking. Now, if it did say how many of them attended school, you would find out what the 12% is, okay, who are gone, pause, and subtract the amount of students that were gone from 550 to find out how many actually went to school. Kind of talking that through there, okay? All right, let's take a look at this. Speaking of the two-step problems, right on time here. A coat was selling for $89 on sale at 15% off. What is the sale price of the jacket after the discount? Okay, so it's wanting to know the price of the jacket after the discount. Okay, so what we have to do here is go 89 times 0.15 to find out what 15% off is. And I got to figure out how to put a calculator on my screen. There's a way to do it. So it's 0.15 times 89, I think it was, equals, that's 13.35, okay? 0.35. All right, now that's 13% off. What is the sale price of the jacket? So now this is why it's two steps, okay? This is step one. We just did that, okay? Step two would be to take my 89 point, I'll put 0.00 minus, got to line up my decimals, okay? 13.35. And that will give me the new cost of something, okay? That'll give me my new cost. So that's why we're talking about a two-step process here of doing it. We had to do two things, okay? All right, let's take a look at another one. Sarita went to lunch. That should be a went. Went to lunch. Yeah, something went wrong with that one. W-E-N-T. Okay. She went to lunch and bought a hamburger for $5.65. The sales tax where she lives is 8.9%. What is the price of the hamburger with the sales tax added round to the nearest penny? Penny means cent, okay? All right, so what I'd have to do is 5.65 is the cost. I've got times 0.8, no, 8.9. Okay. I'm going to do that math. That's going to tell me the new, that's step one. Okay. That's going to tell me how much the tax is. Okay. Then I got to add this answer onto the cost of the burger to find out my total price. Okay. What is the price of the hamburger with the sales tax added round to the nearest penny? Okay. So it's a two-step process. All right. Hope I'm doing okay here. I think I go to this slide here. All right. To find out what percent of one number is of a number, remember to put the part over the whole. All right. I'm going to give you guys a minute. All I want you to copy down is let me take my little tool here. I want to, where you copy down this, okay, this concept here that I'm kind of circling in red here, okay, okay. That's what I want you to copy down. Remember, I started to mention to you earlier, there are two common kinds of percent questions where you don't have to go N and P and whole and percent and all that stuff. You just do what we did the last one, where they just ask you what's 20% of something. You just go 0.20 times that number, okay? And then the second one that we see commonly in dealing with percents is this one here, where they want to find out what percent one number is of another, okay? And the rule is put the part over the whole. Yeah, that's it. That's the equation right there, is put the part over the whole. So yeah, if you want to use letters, the P over the W, okay, and divide. And that means divide, okay? So let's look at a couple examples. The Mills family spends $895 a month on rent. If their monthly income is, this is the whole here, $3,200, what percent of their income goes to rent? So we're going to put the part, $895, over the whole, which is their monthly income. And we're going to divide, and I'll just take a second to do that. So I've got 895 divided by 3,200 equals 0.2796. I'm going to write it all out here. 0.2796. Now here's why I wrote that many digits out. That is the decimal. If I move my decimal 2 places to the right, it becomes, what percent? 27.96% is spent on rent, okay? So that's why I kind of wrote it out that many digits. Now, some of you are probably thinking right now, hey, teacher, how do I know, like, why didn't I just say 27% or round it up to 28%? Or why didn't you just write 27.9%? And the answer to that is, often in the question, they'll ask you round to the nearest whole percentage or something. If it was whole percentage, 27 is the whole, they would round up to 28%, okay? 0.96 of something is not a whole percentage. So what I'm telling you is sometimes in the question, the teacher will ask you, round it to a certain point or something, okay? All right, Mary makes up $450 a week. A raise of $50 a week represents what percent of her salary? There's the part, 50% raise, okay, divided by the whole will give me my answer, okay? Next question. In a building with 35 employees, there are 21 women. What percent of the employees are women? So there's 21 out of 35. If I do that math right there, that gives me a decimal, turn it to percent, I'm done, okay? All right. All right, last concept. This is the last concept. Hang on a second. Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, it is. And I'm going to give you a minute to copy this slide down because it's, so if starting value was S and the ending value was E, okay? All right. And then of course, this is S again, okay, starting value. So if I wrote it like a formula, it might look like this. S, this is a minus sign here, okay? Minus the ending. That answer, whatever that is, divided by the starting value again, is the formula for talking about if they're asking what percent change was that, okay? What percent change? You'll notice they're not asking for what percent, they're asking for how much it changed, okay? So that is the magical formula for figuring out percent change. If we take it and look at the example, we have a new computer that originally was sold for, this is $875. Okay, that's my start value. Was on sale for $625 divided by my starting value again, $875. Okay, equals. So if I do my math, okay, and go 875 minus 625, that equals 250. Okay. Does that seem right? Yeah, that seems right. Now take that answer and divide it by 875, which is my start value. Okay. I'm just bringing this over here, okay? So divided by 875, enter is 0.2857. 57, okay. Now they want to know what by what percent, they're asking for a percent. So I can move the decimal point 2 places, so it's 28.57%. That is the percent of the discount. It's a 28.57% discount here, okay? So that is an example using finding percent, how you would do the math there to find percent. All right, let's see if I have one more, if I can plug in real fast here. Ashley got, actually I have two here. I'll just do one. Ashley got 44 questions right on an English test that is 80, that if this is 80% of the test, how many questions were on the test? Okay. So she got 44%. This is a different question, isn't it? She got 44 questions right on an English test. If this equals, so 44, I'm just going back to my other, is equals 80%, 0.80 of, okay, of is times, and they want to know how many, I'll use T here, okay? So we're back to the original formula there for figuring out things. So she got 44, that's the part. This is equals, there's the word is, so that's equal, okay? Is 80% of is times, that's times, okay? And they want to know what the test is, the whole total, okay? All right, let me stop my recording and see if I have some